Hello and welcome. It's Japan, and I figured, why not? Let's do a NXT review. I'm a little bit behind normally on like some of the reviews, so like I try not to do NXT just because it is the hardest thing to record because I stream normally the night that I would record, but I had time, so I wanted to do it. So it might not be an all day like every week thing, unless it does pretty good and it would be worth the extra energy. But I just wanted to cover this one, so. NXT, this was for the 1st of July. Wesley versus Joe Hendry started off the show. Honestly, it was actually a fire match. I thought they did some really good work. Obviously, Wesley is just phenomenal inside of it. He had a few small things that I think they definitely could have worked on, but I don't think it was anything too bad. He's always a solid wrestler, and Joe Hendry actually looked pretty impressive out there. I know his movesets aren't like vast, but I think he had a phenomenal match for what it was worth. And yeah, I'd put this straight up in the A category. I was really surprised at being such a good match. Next up, we had the whole Luca, Tony, and Stacks saga with the family. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if it's just me, and this might just be a me thing, but I absolutely hate all of this. Between the wrestling, between the story, between just all the dumb stuff that they do in between, I'm just wanting this whole thing to be flushed, and it just takes up too much time. Which it was only like a 5 minute segment, but that was too much time for me. So I'm putting it down in D. It's just not my thing. They're not even using Rizzo in the whole thing, so it's just kind of pointless. She's probably the best member of the whole entire group, and they're just like, nah, we're not gonna worry about her. We ain't gonna show her. We're not gonna do any of that. So yeah, kind of pointless. I'd put it as definitely a D. I'd probably put it even lower. I'm just kind of just done with the whole thing. Next up, we had Miles Bourne versus Lexus King. Another pretty phenomenal match. I mean, they had a lot of good back and forth. Just like that's the thing I like about NXT is that NXT has like obviously storyline that they go through, and I think their storylines probably like most of the time like a C to C plus. Nothing too crazy, but enough that like it keeps you entertained. But their wrestling normally is above par, and this was another above par match. I think it's a solid B. I think they obviously showed up and showed out. Miles Bourne has gone kind of taken his own because I mean he just had a great match against Obafemi not that long ago, and Lexus King, he was the Heritage Cup winner. I don't think they know what they want to do with him, but I think he's fairly decent in the ring. I think he has the mic skills and everything else outside of it, but I think his in-ring work is still competent too. So I put this overall. I really enjoyed it. Next up, we had what is it? Reed versus Hale. I forget what her first name is. It Lainey Reed? Which just completely came out of nowhere, and she's already had a title match, and then this match, they did really good. I mean, they really had some good back and forth with having like being pretty much the same size, and they have like the same type of strength. I thought they could really bounce off of each other. Obviously, Lainey Reed had the steal by cheating at the very end. I thought was at least a little bit of a touch to trying to make her as a heel. I honestly like don't even know where she came from, but she's immediately right in that upper mid card, and I'm not mad. I thought the match was very competent to be on the show. I'd also probably put it up in B. Definitely struggled in certain areas, but I think altogether, I thought it was a really good match to be on the card. Anytime I feel like I put 7B, like sometimes people are like, oh, that's kind of low rated. It's like, not really. If it's B, I feel like it deserved to be on the show. And I think it's like C and D is where you really got to get in those areas like that you might want to change it. A B match, just getting only like 10 to 15, or not even 10 to 15, like not like pretty much 10 minutes to do something out there and to make it enough that you would be like, hey, this is a pretty good match to watch if you're referring it to somebody. But then you go to this match, the Sol Ruka and Zarya versus Izzy Dame and Tatum Paxley. Now this is a match. This should have been main event. It doesn't make a lot of sense to put it in the main event because obvious things of just you know they had other storylines they wanted to progress that were going to be a little bit higher. This was just kind of a tag match, but there was a good story told, and the wrestling was phenomenal. Obviously, Soul Rica just amazing every time she goes in the ring. The strength of Zarya is insane. Izzy Dame is coming into her own. Like, I know she's always had that ability, but she's kind of always kind of got lost in that shuffle. But with this whole Colding thing, she's actually kind of scraped her own vein. And Tatum Paxley is probably the most underrated wrestler on the entire NXT roster. I've said it multiple times, and some of the moves that she does out there is just insane. She has good character work, and I think she's very versatile to put into those type of things. So this is S tier, easily an S tier match. If you're gonna watch any match on the card, this is the one to pick up. I mean, there's other good matches, but this one is for sure. You will not be upset that you watch this match. Then they also talked about Izzy Dame and Sol Rico will be facing each other at Great American Bash. I think that will be a good one. I do think that if you're gonna have Sol lose the title, I think it should still be to Zarya, but I think that match might be really entertaining. So I'm definitely putting that as like a sleeper to being match of the night for Great American Bash. Then we had a backstage thing with Ethan Page and Ricky Saints. Yeah, I almost said him. I was thinking I was gonna say his wrong name, and I actually said his real name, but I thought it was wrong. Whatever. But Ethan Page is kind of like mentoring the Vanity Project, which is from Evolve. I think it's a nice touch. I mean, it allows these people to be seen and that they can easily just be like, oh, I'm going to use these guys in the main roster at some point. And they're already kind of already talking to talent that's on the NXT roster, which I think is a really good idea. Next week, Ricky Saints has to go for the gauntlet, being all three of them to get the opportunity for Ethan Page's title. I don't think he's going to make it all the way through, but you never know. I think it's going to be a pretty decent match. I think this whole kind of segment and them being on TV, I think is all good stuff. I put up an S tier. Next up, we had Jasper Troy, the winner of LFG, versus is it Yoshiki? I think it's Yoshiki. God, I had his name down pat before this. But the match was an absolute banger. The strength that the two had, he had like they kept saying that he was with the like sumo strength. I kind of like that he was doing those kind of sumo moves and pushes and kind of tosses. I think that was kind of a really cool touch that you don't normally see. And Jasper Troy has been red hot since switching. He's phenomenally way out there further than Tyra May Steele on the opposite side, with having already a title shot, and then this was a number one contender shot, which he didn't win, but he looked phenomenal out there, and he looked still strong even though Javon Evans took him out, which will probably lead to them having a match either on NXT next week. I think it's going to be a Great American Bash match because I think they have room on the card to throw that on there, and I think it would be a great decision because I think that match would absolutely cook. I put this match up in A. It was really good, and I really wanted to see this title match with Obafemi. I think it's going to be a really good match. I don't think Obi's going to lose, but I do think it's going to be a really great match. Then we ended the show with having Jordan Grace come down, talking about how she wants to take the title off of Jace. Jace coming down there. I mean, I feel like Jace is in a weird position because, like, obviously everybody believes she's just there as an interim champion, and there's so many other people, and maybe she does stay on to it a lot longer, but it's just kind of her thing. Like, everybody just thinks she's the most beatable champion. So, like, if you have her win, then you kind of stunt the division because not a lot of people like her or think that she should be there. And if you have her lose it, then it's right and it buries her. So there's kind of a weird thing here. But I think Jordan Grace's part, I think, was really good. The pretty much everything about like the storyline, I'm still down for. I'm kind of not thinking Jordan Grace is gonna win, but I'm kind of excited to see it. It's in Evolution, so it's going to be on a major stage. So that's the only reason why I kind of feel like it's a Jordan Grace win, because she was such a big free agent that they pulled up there, and to put her on the WWE scene by winning there, I think will be a pretty good idea. Then Fatal Influence attacked Jordan Grace and she got saved by Blake Monroe. I like that idea. This little team is not too bad. It kind of puts them as maybe being allies, even if it's just for the situation. But them being allies could lead to some betrayal later on, which would also be really good. So I'll also put that in S tier. And then at the very end of the match, or at the end of the day, they decided to make a tag match for Great American Bash, which I'm really glad, because having Evolution there, we kind of knew that like the women's NXT title wasn't going to get the opportunity to be defended on a Great American Bash. There's no point of having double duty on the title, because then it makes, pretty much that one person isn't, and then the advertisement's kind of weird because whatever, but it's just way a lot of work. And then this is actually the best idea because then you get Blake Monroe in a PLE right off the bat where you can't really say if she deserves it or not because she's in a tag match to a bigger storyline that's coming on to the next day. So I honestly think it's going to be a pretty fun match. So I'm going to put it up in S tier. I think overall, I think the show is a pretty decent A. I know I have two matches in the B category, but I honestly, if you put them in the A category, I'm not gonna argue with you because they were good matches and I had a good time on the show. I think NXT's been really perfecting all of their segments really well. They obviously had a couple other different stuff, like with obviously Trick Williams started off the show by going down on commentary. Mike Santana showed up. Like there was a lot of other stuff that happened. Um, Taven Heights still wants to leave New Quarter New Quarter Catch Republic. No, New Quarter Catch Crew. I'm getting two different factions mixed up, and Rin and Charlie tend to be just kind of stuck there. I don't really know if I like that storyline as much, but those were all kind of smaller segments. Sometimes I don't know necessarily to include that stuff. I kind of leave it up to fate. If like if I can get a picture of it and can explain it, then the more than 2 seconds fin, I'm gonna put it up there. But yeah, this is an NXT review. So if you guys enjoy that, make sure you like and comment and subscribe on this one because this will definitely be a catalyst if I want to do this more often. I do Evolve, SmackDown, and Raw every week, but I wanted to try this out to see how it worked. Maybe I'll do it for like July and see how it looks and if people are digging it. I don't really know a lot of people that cover NXT, but NXT I think honestly sometimes is the best product out of the free shows on the week if you just actually wrestle like for wrestling. Storyline obviously is always still being a work, but I still think it's still one of the better products. So yeah, just tell me if you guys want to see more of this, and I will gladly do it. So I will see you guys in the next one. It's been Japan. Bye, guys.